Chapter 1. Ria's World. Ria lived in a small town surrounded by green fields and tall trees. Life there was quiet and simple. Every morning, she woke up early, helped her mother in the kitchen, and then spent time in her favorite place, the library. Ria loved books more than anything else. She said, "Books are my best friends. They never leave me alone." She enjoyed reading stories of love, hope, and courage. But more than reading, Ria loved writing. She often sat by her window with a notebook and pen, writing letters to people she cared about. Sometimes she wrote letters she never sent. Letters about dreams, fears, and secret wishes. She believed that words had power, the power to heal hearts. Ria was not the most beautiful girl in the town, but her heart was pure. She had big eyes that always carried kindness, and a smile that could comfort anyone. People liked her because she listened. She made others feel important. But deep inside, Ria was lonely. She dreamed of someone who would understand her letters without reading them. Someone who would feel her silence. One afternoon, while she was sitting in the library with a book in her hand, she heard a soft voice. "Excuse me, is this seat free?" Ria looked up. A young man stood there holding two books. He had a calm face and gentle eyes. His name was Arjun. That small question, "Is this seat free?" was the beginning of something that would change Ria's life forever. Chapter 2. Friendship Turns to Love. Arjun sat down beside Ria in the library. First, there was silence. He opened his book and started reading. Ria tried to continue her own reading, but her eyes kept moving toward him. He looked serious yet peaceful. There was something gentle in the way he turned the pages. After a few minutes, he looked at Ria and smiled. "What kind of books do you like?" he asked. Ria hesitated for a moment, then replied softly, "I like stories about love and hope. What about you?" Arjun thought for a while and said, "I like books that talk about life, about struggles and courage. But I think love and hope are also important." That small conversation was the beginning of many more. Day by day, whenever Ria came to the library, Arjun was there. Sometimes they read quietly. Sometimes they shared stories from the books. Slowly, their words became longer, and their silences became deeper. One evening, the sun was setting, and the golden light entered through the library window. Ria closed her book and asked, "Do you believe in friendship forever?" Arjun looked at her, his eyes soft. "Yes, if the friendship is true, it never ends. Maybe it even becomes something more." Ria's heart beat faster. She didn't reply, but she smiled. That smile said everything she wanted to say. As weeks passed, they started meeting outside the library too. They walked along the river, talked about dreams, and shared secrets. Ria told Arjun about her habit of writing letters. Arjun laughed and said, "Then one day you must write me a letter too." She blushed and nodded. In those simple moments, sitting under a tree, listening to the rain, sharing tea at a small stall, their friendship quietly turned into love. Neither of them said it directly, but they both knew. And sometimes, love does not need words. It lives in gestures, in looks, and in silence. Chapter 3. The separation begins. One afternoon, Arjun seemed quieter than usual. He and Ria were sitting on a bench near the river. The water flowed gently, and the birds were flying home. Ria noticed something in his eyes, something heavy, like a secret he did not want to share. "Arjun," she said softly, "what is it? You look worried." He tried to smile, but it was weak. "Ria, My father wants me to move to the city. There is a good job waiting for me there. He says it will secure my future. Ria felt her heart sink. The city? But that is so far away. Arjun nodded slowly. I don't want to leave this place. I don't want to leave you. Her hands trembled. She looked down at the ground, fighting back tears. When do you have to go? In 2 weeks, he whispered. The world around Ria felt silent. The river kept flowing. The birds kept flying. But inside her, everything stopped. She wanted to scream to tell him not to go. But she also knew life was not that simple. That night, Ria couldn't sleep. She sat near her window with her notebook. Tears fell on the page as she wrote. Why does love always have to be tested? Why can't two hearts just stay together? The next day, she met Arjun again. They didn't talk much. Both of them tried to act normal, but every smile carried sadness. Every silence carried fear. As the days passed, time began to run too fast. Each moment with Arjun felt precious, yet painful. They knew they were walking towards separation. And when the final day came, it felt like the sky itself was crying. Arjun stood at Ria's door with his suitcase. He looked at her, his eyes full of pain. Ria, I will come back. Please believe me. She couldn't say a word. She just nodded, her eyes wet. That night, after leaving the town, Arjun slipped a letter under her door. In it he wrote, Ria, no matter how far I go, you will always live in my heart. My love is stronger than distance. Wait for me and I promise, I will return. When Ria read the letter, she pressed it close to her heart. She whispered through her tears, I will wait. And so began the longest wait of her life. Chapter 4. Letters Across Distance. The days after Arjun left felt heavy for Ria. The town was the same. The same streets, the same trees, the same library. But without him, everything looked empty. Every evening, she returned to her window with her notebook. She wrote letters to Arjun, long letters filled with her feelings. Sometimes she posted them, sometimes she kept them hidden in a small box under her bed. One night, she wrote, Arjun, today I went to the library. Your chair was empty, but I could still feel your presence. I miss your smile. I miss your silence. I miss everything. Arjun also wrote back whenever he could. His letters were full of hope. He told her about the city, the noise, the rush, and the loneliness he felt without her. Ria, one letter said, the city gives me money, but it does not give me peace. Only you give me that. Every night, I close my eyes and see your face. Please keep waiting for me. Reading those words, Ria cried and smiled at the same time. His letters were her strength. They were proof that even distance could not kill love. But waiting was not easy. Some nights were long and painful. She would sit in the dark, hugging Arjun's old letters, and whisper, come back soon. People in the town began to talk. Some said, why is she wasting her time? Maybe he will never return. Others said, she is too young to wait for someone far away. Ria heard their words, but she never lost faith. She believed in Arjun, in his promise, and in the power of true love. Still, in the silence of the night, fear sometimes entered her heart. What if he changed? What if life kept them apart forever? Whenever that fear grew too strong, she took out the first letter he had written, the one he left under her door before leaving. She read it again and again until hope returned. And so, days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Time moved slowly for Ria, but her love never weakened. She was waiting and believing. Chapter 5: The Test of Love. A year had passed since Arjun left. Riya's heart still held the same love, the same hope. But life was not without storms. One afternoon, while she was returning from the market, she overheard two women talking. "I heard Arjun is engaged to someone in the city," one of them whispered. "Yes," the other replied. "My cousin saw him with a girl. They looked very close." Riya's steps froze. Her heart stopped for a moment. She wanted to shout, "That's not true!" But fear entered her soul like a shadow. Could it be? Had Arjun moved on? That night, she sat at her desk with her pen, but her hands shook. For the first time, she couldn't write a letter. Tears fell on the blank page. "Arjun, did you forget me?" she whispered into the silence. Days went by and no letter came from him. The silence grew heavier. People in the town kept talking, feeding her doubts. One evening, her childhood friend Samir came to visit. He cared for her and had always admired her kindness. Seeing her sadness, he said gently, "Riya, why do you keep waiting for someone who may never return? You deserve happiness too. Maybe you should give your heart to someone who is here, not far away." Riya looked at him with tired eyes. She appreciated his concern, but her heart refused to let go. "Samir," she said softly, "love is not a choice. My heart belongs to Arjun, and no one else can take his place." Still, when she was alone, her doubts tortured her. The letters that once gave her hope were now fading memories. She opened the old box under her bed and read Arjun's promise again. "Wait for me and I will return." Holding the letter close, she cried, "Arjun, please don't break my faith. Please come back." Just when her hope was about to die, a letter finally arrived. Her hands shook as she opened it. "Riya, I am sorry for the silence. Work has chained me, but not my heart. You live in me every second. Don't believe what people say. I am yours, only yours." Riya pressed the paper to her chest. Her tears turned into a smile. Love had been tested, but it was still alive. Chapter 6: The Storm Before the Reunion. After Arjun's letter, Riya's heart was at peace again. She believed more strongly than ever that true love could survive anything. Each day, she waited for the moment when Arjun would finally return. But life, as always, was full of trials. One evening, heavy clouds covered the sky. A storm was coming. The wind howled through the trees, and rain began to pour down like endless tears from heaven. Riya sat near her window, holding Arjun's letters close to her chest. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. She rushed to open it, thinking for a moment it might be Arjun. But it was the postman, drenched from the rain. He handed her a letter with trembling hands. Her heart pounded as she tore it open. It was not from Arjun. It was from his father. "Riya, Arjun met with an accident while traveling for work. He is in the hospital. His condition is serious. Pray for him." The letter slipped from her hands. The storm outside matched the storm inside her heart. Her knees grew weak, and she fell to the floor, whispering his name. "Arjun, please no, you promised me." She wanted to run to the city that very moment, but the storm had blocked the roads. The river had flooded, and no vehicles could move. She spent the entire night crying and praying, begging the heavens not to take him away. Hours felt like years. She pressed her forehead against the window and whispered through the rain, "Arjun, you cannot leave me. Not now. Not ever." The next morning, when the storm calmed, she prepared to travel to the city. But before she could leave, another knock came at the door. This time it was a messenger with a telegram. Her hands trembled as she read it. Arjun is safe, out of danger, returning home soon. Riya collapsed to her knees, tears flowing endlessly. But this time they were tears of relief. She kissed the telegram and held it to her heart. The storm had tested her love once again. But just like always, their bond had survived. And now, after so many trials, their reunion was near. Chapter 7: The Reunion. The day Arjun was returning felt like a festival in Riya's heart. She woke up before sunrise, her hands trembling with both fear and joy. She looked at herself in the mirror and whispered, "After all this waiting, after all these tears, today I will see him again." Every hour felt like a lifetime. She wore the simple blue dress that Arjun once said made her look like the sky. She tied her hair carefully and held his letters close to her chest one last time before stepping out. The sky was clear, washed clean by the storm. The air smelled fresh, as if nature itself was ready to welcome Arjun back. By evening, a knock echoed on her door. Her heart stopped. Slowly, she opened it. There he was. Arjun stood at the doorway, thin and pale from the accident, but alive. His eyes shining with the same love she had been holding on to for so long. For a moment, they just looked at each other. No words came. Only tears filled their eyes. Then, without thinking, Riya ran into his arms. The letters slipped from her hands and scattered on the floor, but she didn't care. She held him tightly, as if never to let go again. "I told you," Arjun whispered, his voice breaking. "Love always finds the way back." Riya's tears wet his shoulder. "You scared me," she said, half crying, half smiling. "I thought I was going to lose you forever." Arjun cupped her face gently. "You never lost me, Riya. Not for a single second. Even when I was far, even when I was weak, my heart was always with you." They stood there in silence, holding each other as if time itself had stopped. The whole world disappeared. There was no pain, no distance, no fear, only love. That night, under the calm sky, Riya and Arjun sat together on the old bench near the river. The moonlight touched the water, and the gentle breeze carried the scent of flowers. Riya placed her head on Arjun's shoulder. For the first time in years, her heart felt complete. And in that moment, they both knew love had won. Chapter 8: A New Beginning. After the reunion, Riya and Arjun knew one thing clearly. Life had tested them enough. They had faced distance, fear, silence, and even the shadow of death. Yet through it all, their love had only grown stronger. One morning, Arjun walked with Riya to the old library, the very place where their story began. He stopped near the table where he had once asked, "Is this seat free?" and smiled. "Riya," he said gently, "this seat was never free. It always belonged to you, just like my heart." Riya's eyes filled with tears. "And my heart always belonged to you," she whispered. That evening, under the golden sunset, Arjun spoke to Riya's parents. With folded hands, he said, "I may not be the richest man, but I promise you, I will keep Riya happy all my life." Her parents, who had watched her suffer in silence for so long, saw the truth in his eyes. With a smile, they gave their blessing. Weeks later, Riya stood dressed as a bride. The small town gathered to celebrate their love story, the story everyone once doubted. The air was filled with flowers, laughter, and blessings. As Arjun placed the garland around her neck, he whispered, "No more distance, no more waiting. From today, every moment is ours." Riya smiled through her tears. "From today, every letter I write will begin with my husband." The crowd cheered as the sacred fire burned bright. In that moment, two souls who had fought against fate became one. That night, after the celebrations, Riya opened her old box of letters. She tied them with a red ribbon and placed them carefully in a drawer. Those letters were not just paper. They were witnesses of their love, their pain, and their victory. She looked at Arjun, who was now sitting beside her, and said softly, "These letters are our past, but now our future begins." Arjun took her hand and smiled. "And this time, Riya, I don't need letters to tell you how I feel. I will be here every day to show you." Outside, the moon shone brightly, blessing their new journey. And so, Riya and Arjun began their new life together. Not perfect, not without challenges, but filled with the kind of love that distance, time, and fate could never destroy. It was not just the last letter. It was also the first chapter of forever.